I don't know how to start off this video because typically my videos start with a question and then the rest of the video is me answering that question. But I guess what I wanted to share is more of a perspective and it's more of a proclamation in a way. But the only person that you're harming when you choose to close yourself off and to guard your heart and protect yourself is yourself. So when you proclaim things like, I'm never going to allow myself to love someone that deeply again, or I'm never going to allow myself to care for someone that deeply again, or the world is so cruel and mean and full of people with the worst intentions, and you need to be selfish and greedy in order to thrive and survive. The only person you're harming is yourself. And I say that because life is truly a gift. You have less than 100 years to experience all that life has to offer. And the best experiences that you can have for yourself are the ones that require vulnerability, and they require you to show up honestly and wholeheartedly and in a state of joy, peace, and happiness. For example, deep and fulfilling friendships or healthy romantic love. It requires you to show up with an open heart. I think it takes a certain level of strength, and it's pretty admirable when someone goes through points of adversity and they experience pain and heartbreak and they choose to move forward in a way that allows them to experience it again. You know, it's like you've experienced this pain, and instead of completely avoiding it and in turn closing yourself off so that you just experience nothing at all, you're choosing to move through the world with joy and happiness and an open heart, knowing that that's a possibility, that's a risk that you could potentially face again. Because if you do move through the world with an open heart, of course you're going to experience heartbreak again, right? But if you choose to close yourself off and guard yourself completely, you're just going to experience nothing at all. It also takes a certain level of strength and a strong skill set to be able to choose joy and happiness, because choosing joy and happiness, authentic and true joy and happiness, requires forgiveness. It requires being able to hold emotional nuance and reflecting on painful experiences and dynamics and identifying the areas where you may have contributed to the dynamic and taking accountability for that, and also seeking to understand the pain that the other person was holding and why they may have treated you the way that they did, and being able to forgive them for that. Because once you're able to hold the entirety of the experience, right, that's only when you're able to move forward. And so of course it takes a certain level of strength. I think it's also admirable when someone chooses to put themselves out so openly and so freely, without a guard, temporarily, right? And also know when to pull back the second and the moment a dynamic starts draining them and taking away from their life. And one thing I did want to talk about too is I think it's pretty unfortunate that society has normalized embracing depression and being somber and hustle culture and protecting ourselves and being nonchalant as a mask. And I think it plays into this idea that maturity is the absence of joy and happiness and childlike innocence. It's kind of weird because I find admiration and strength in someone who's able to experience joy and experience life to the fullest and choose to be happy, and also know when to lock in and be responsible and take accountability and, you know, carry out the day-to-day adult tasks. I can choose to believe that life is all sunshine and rainbows and joy and peace and happiness, and still hope to be taken seriously and invest myself fully into my work and my career. And it's easy to look at me and to look at what I'm saying and to tell yourself, well, it's easy for her to say these things because she likely hasn't gone through any real adversity or real pain. And I'm not going to openly share my trauma on the internet because someone could easily take advantage of that, right? But I do believe that I have every right to say that if I wanted to close myself off completely, it would have been easy for me to, based off of what I've experienced. Yeah. So again, I guess the key takeaway is that allow yourself to love so openly, allow yourself to love so freely, allow yourself to believe that life is sunshine and rainbows. Just know when to pull back, know when to, cut someone out from your life, not to give them pain or exact revenge on them, but to protect yourself, right? To protect that joy and happiness and peace that you've worked so hard for. It's a better and healthier alternative compared to closing yourself off, because the only person you're harming when you choose to do that is yourself. Because again, you're not allowing yourself to experience everything. And the best things require you to show up with an open heart. So yeah, that's my key takeaway, and I hope you were able to learn something from this video and learn something from what I've learned. And I guess that's all I have to say. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!